Hi, welcome back to my channel where we explore what recovering from spiritual, mental, physical, and religious abuse looks like. I pray over this community that I'm building that we may all have breakthroughs of all the barriers that has been put on us by colonialism and colonized religion. So, as I previously mentioned, me and my older sister were being raised by Donna Hoffman, my mother's mother on the white side of my family. So, she had this belief about children being seen, not heard, no fidgeting, no yelling, no running around. And she would literally beat the shit out of and humiliate me in front of everyone in order to make us do what she wanted. So it was a fact in this household that we were not allowed to have physical needs beyond what she would bestow on us. Um, there was this one time I remember driving to the Grand Teton Mountains, which is where Church Universal and Triumphant, that little cult, they stayed in the Grand Teton Mountains, and the Rocky Mountains. So along the drive, which we would do 12-hour driving days, we could only pee or pull over when she wanted to. And this was like a normal thing. The entire 13 years that I lived with her, I had to ask to use the bathroom in her house. So I was super used to, at this point, holding my pee for hours and just like going hungry because we couldn't ask for food. And any time that we stopped for fast food, Sarah would get a burger, Grandma would get a burger, and then me and my sister would just have to share a small fry. And she would just force us to eat the days old tuna sandwiches that she packed from home. And she would just all mayo and tuna. And from the last 3 days that we've been driving, and it's like you just like nibble a little bit on the crust because the stink is so bad. And I hate tuna to this day. I will not eat it. But this particular trip, I remember because it was one of the only times that we got to actually just be like kids for a minute. Um, First time in years and the last time in years. So we get to the Motel 6 in Montana after traveling all the way from Seattle. We're in this little town that's like really pretty, actually. It's like nestled in the valley between like Rocky Mountain ranges. And like I said, we had to wait on Donna hand and foot. So after, we sat in the car quietly for 12 hours, we had to like scramble to get her set up in her private room and wait on her hand and foot. And I'm just like, you can imagine how awful it is for a child to not only have to be extremely quiet and still for 12 hours and then turn into a professional aide, right? Um, so, after a while of getting her all settled in, Donna wanted to lay down and told us all to leave so she could get rest. So then Sarah, the aunt, right, took us on a little walk. Sarah, very known in the family to be like the lead prisoner, the Stockholm syndrome, because she would carry out every wish Donna had. And she never had to be there. She kept saying, "Oh, I have to take care of them." And it's like, no, you don't. But she thought she had to. So she would discipline us in order to get praise and approval from Donna. She basically was like the prison guard, the lead prison guard of our childhood. However, today, this thunderstorm was rolling in across the valley, and we could see it coming in the field across from the hotel, right? And so my aunt had me and my sister share like one little scoop of vanilla ice cream and like stand on the road and just like watch the field with the storm coming over. But I was like young and I just caught the energy of the storm so intensely in my body. I do not know if y'all have seen a thunderstorm roll in through the mountains into a valley, but the air is charged before you even see the storm. And all of a sudden, the wind is picking up. And then all of a sudden, we see the sheet of rain moving toward us, and the lightning, huge, loud overhead lightning just flashing across the sky. And I just took off racing. I took off racing across the field, all the way around, looped all the way back up, and ran up the road. And I was expecting, and I was already ready for it. Um, Instead of grabbing me, beating me, and throwing me in with Donna to be further punished, she said, "Yes, let's run." She must have felt it too. There was something in the air. And so me and my sister had not heard that in our whole life with them ever, unless it was a threat, right? So my sister and me, we just ran for almost an hour in the rain, just hollering, jumping. It was one of the last physically free moments in my childhood into my adulthood. And the reason that this stays on my mind, right? And the reason that I'm telling the story is because I'm wondering, I guess, if other escaped children of cults feel this way, where it's like sometimes you can feel that same like trapped in your body and like you're not allowed to move. Cults feel this way too, this feeling of I am constantly trapped. And you're having to like remind yourself that your body is free, not just your mind, but your physical body is free to move wherever you want it. And at first it was just physically that I dealt with this, right? Like over the past 20 years. Um, I've done everything I could, became a yoga teacher, I ran the gamut on substance abuse. I became a construction worker and built and worked off swing stages off of really tall buildings downtown. I left the country and backpacked around the Caribbean by myself. Became a workout guru, yoga teacher, studying wellness, grappling with how healthy people think about and treat their bodies. And at this point, I am pretty good at diet and exercise and having overcome a lot of disordered thinking around food. And I've performed a lot of drag and I've been able to express myself to a degree physically, right? And which is all good, healthy, important work that I've done. However, something that I just started in therapy is actually working through the programming in the mind to stay small, quiet, and in the background. And I've made these huge steps and I have been able to release so much trauma and trapped energy. But I still shy away from speaking aloud these stories, almost like I'm the one that'll look bad for having these horrible childhood memories. And I don't want to burden people with too much information. And, I've told a lot of stories in therapy, but it's all about like working through it, right? It isn't just being like, what the fuck as much. So, programming from how I was raised still lingers in what I think I'm allowed to do. Like, we were so physically and emotionally punished for having an independent world inside of us that it's like I felt walking this earth, I can only go so deep. I can only go so deep into careers, academics, money, even because if I choose to go as deep as I know I could or want to, something bad will happen. That's what was beaten into me. So, thinking of the freedom that I used to experience before we had to live with her, before I was 5 years old, I really have to draw on like my babyhood again and draw on those feelings of bodily and emotional freedom and having complete support, and being surrounded by safe people. That's also something that I've had to create for myself out here. And that's another big reason I started this YouTube channel. I want to release this. I want to speak on this. I want to use my voice and clear this out of my body. And hopefully it can help other people. But I just want my body to be filled with something that's more of my own, right? And not just like leftover from 20 years ago. I'm hoping all of these like sad stories help someone else too. So if you learned a little bit today about how deep indoctrination goes, tactics that cults and abusive people use to indoctrinate and trap people, or if this video helped you think about and release some of your own trauma, you should check out some of the other videos that I have linked below. This channel is all about figuring out who I am as a spiritual person and marrying that with the ancestral work I'm doing to heal my bond with my dad's family. Gosh. Yeah, hit like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. And as usual, I am praying for the freedom of all other beings from governments, war, cults, jobs, and any other abusive relationships that we find ourselves in this modern day. And just know that there's way more to life than shitty things. And that, in fact, we can have freedom in our own hearts and minds. Thank you.